Congressman Adam Schiff is a member of January 6th Select Committee. He was the lead impeachment manager in Trump's first impeachment. He's the chair of the House Intelligence Committee as well, and he joins me now. What do you think about what your colleague Madison Cawthorn said?
Well, it's so irresponsible, it's hard to imagine, but this is really a continuation of the big lie. What he is saying is if elections continue to be rigged, he may find it necessary to take up arms. Well, of course, the election wasn't rigged. So what he's really saying is if he continues to propagate the lies about our election, it may lead him to bear arms to confront his own lies. And this is the danger that led us into January 6th, the propagation of falsehoods about our election, the glorifying of political violence, the urging other people potentially to violence. And it couldn't be more reprehensible. But it's also reflective of this new generation of Republican members of Congress that came to Congress, basically each of them trying to scream louder than the other, each trying to get their 15 minutes of fame for being more outlandish than the other, all devoted to tearing down the institutions of government and never making the transition to governing in any way. And it's just an incredibly dangerous trend for the country.
You mentioned January 6th. Of course, you're on the Select Committee. Yesterday, we got news the Select Committee is, I don't know if preparing or has already sent out requests to telecom companies for the communications that include some members of Congress. First, I want to ask you, I'm going to read the statement that Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy issued. But first, I just want to ask you, do you have any wariness about this line? Do you have any worry? Was there discussion in the committee about what precedent this might set to be getting phone records from fellow members of Congress?
Certainly we've discussed the range of requests that we're making, and without getting into any of the particulars of our conversation, we looked at the historic precedent, and there is precedent for seeking records relating to members of Congress, most often in the context of ethics investigations. Well, I think participating in an insurrection, an armed insurrection against the government, is among the most serious ethics violations you could imagine, if not more than that. But yes, we did consider it. And I think that at the end of the day, we're determined that whoever was involved in this effort to prevent the peaceful transfer of power should not be able to hide behind their office. We want to develop all the facts. If people were not involved in trying to overturn the government, they shouldn't be concerned. But Kevin McCarthy clearly is, for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is his boss, his master in Mar-a-Lago, doesn't want it to happen.
I will read you now the statement he issued in full because it mentions you, and I want to get your response to it. He says, Adam Schiff, Benny Thompson, and Nancy Pelosi's attempts to strong-arm private companies to turn over individuals' private data would put every American with a phone or computer in the crosshairs of a surveillance state run by Democrat politicians. If these companies comply with the Democrat order to turn over private information, they are in violation of federal law, subject to losing their ability to operate in the United States. If companies still choose to violate federal law, a Republican majority will not forget and will stand with Americans to hold them fully accountable under the law. This is not a threat of violence, but it is certainly a threat that he is making in response to this.
Well, it's a threat, and it's a threat premised on a falsehood. That somehow asking these companies to preserve records or ultimately to turn over records of people involved in an insurrection is somehow against the law. That's just flat wrong. But McCarthy, look, he's scared. And I think his boss is scared. They didn't want this commission and this select committee to go forward. They certainly didn't want it to go forward as it is on a bipartisan basis. And they don't want the country to know exactly what they were involved in. And you can see why. I mean, these two stories are not unrelated to each other. His caucus, his conference members are people like Cawthorn, who are still pushing the big lie that resulted in the insurrection to begin with. They're still pushing a big lie that may result in further violence in the future. The last thing Kevin McCarthy wants to do is take on these rabble-rousers in his conference because, frankly, they represent Donald Trump. And Kevin McCarthy lives to do whatever Donald Trump wants. But he is trying to threaten these companies, and it shows yet again why this man, Kevin McCarthy, can never be allowed to go anywhere near the Speaker's office.
This is a question I'm going to ask, and you may know nothing about, but I'm going to ask because the news just came over that a Republican congressman named Mark McMullen of Oklahoma has been making multiple attempts to get into Afghanistan reportedly he went to Tajikistan, was going to enter with a bunch of cash, asked the embassy. They told him, that's a terrible idea. You can't do that. And as of now, his whereabouts are unknown. And as chair of the House Intelligence Committee, I just wonder if, you know anything about this or have any read on where Congressman Mullen is?
I don't. He's a member of our committee, but I don't know what his circumstances are. Look, a lot of our members feel very, I think desperate to try to help people, particularly those that have served in Iraq or Afghanistan and know interpreters or others who are at risk. And while I can understand that, and I feel very much the same way, we don't want to put people's lives in risk. We don't want to put our service members' lives at risk by one of the members putting themselves in a position where they may be harmed. And I think when members, for example, went to Afghanistan while we were trying to evacuate others, it added to the burdens of those conducting the evacuation and added to the dangers of others. So I really think we need to work through the administration to try to continue to evacuate any people that worked with us who are threatened. But I don't think that's the right way to do it.